Hello and welcome to another edition of Fault Lines. I'm Gauri Dwivedi, and this week on the show we tell you the stories and the fault lines we are decoding for you. First up, in Gaza, there's a fresh push by Benjamin Netanyahu to capture all of Gaza to ensure that hostages are brought back. Gideon's Chariots is an operation that Israel is launching yet again. We tell you, is this the final push? Donetsk is the battle where the real battle is being fought as far as Russia-Ukraine is concerned. We tell you why this is the most crucial choke point, and this is where decision will be taken. And lastly, Kiev's 1,000-kilo missile, how destructive is it? And as we've been saying on Russia-Ukraine war, it's not over till it's all over. Ukraine's firepower, how long will it hold out? We tell you more. The big story on the show, we are talking about Israel is preparing for what would be the most decisive battle of this war. Operation Gideon's Chariots, the second time this is being put. Greenlit in the last 24 hours by Defence Minister of Israel, aims to capture Gaza City, Hamas's final stronghold. It comes after the first time this campaign was started, leaving stages in limbo, in fact leaving the several aspects of this in limbo, and Hamas fighters still embedded. So now what will be the future of Gaza City in the wake of this fresh push by Israel is going to be our key focus. 60,000 reservists have actually been brought in, and let's get you what that final push is all about with the numbers that really tell the story. Let's put out those numbers. First and foremost, 60,000 reservists have been brought in by Israeli Prime Minister as he wishes to put this as the final push to ensure that Hamas is completely decimated. Next up, IDF will encircle and isolate Hamas strongholds. Remember, there's been a lot of back and forth in terms of whether Israel is able to stamp out, weed out Hamas completely. They've been decimated quite significantly militarily, but the hostages remain. And that is the leverage that Hamas has, which is what IDF is trying to ensure, that they're able to encircle and ensure that they isolate them. Evacuation corridors will be cleared south for civilians. It's a huge civilian humanitarian crisis that Gaza City has been facing now ever since the war started after the attack on Israel on 7th of October 2023. But there will be a civilian corridor that will be created. This is the final push for which Israel is now preparing. Next up, the objective, total Gaza control by the IDF, something that Benjamin Netanyahu spoke about almost a fortnight back when he said that there has to be a new Gaza plan, maybe a new Gaza authority that will come in place because we want to ensure we put an end to this. And this is the plan, full and complete control of Gaza City. Is that possible? What happens next are questions that will come in later. Remember, that's day after. Right now, the battle continues, and this is what the plan is. Next up, hostage deal talks have been stalled. Military moves forward. There's been some update as far as what Hamas has been wanting to do. It wants a 2-month ceasefire. Of course, the condition is that they will continue to rearm, regroup. That's a deal breaker as far as Israel is concerned, which is why it's back to the battle lines, it's back to the front lines where decision will be taken. And lastly, operation framed as war's most decisive and final act. This is what many in the Israeli government feel is what it will take to finally put an end to this conflict that has taken about 1,291 civilians in the first initial assault that came in on Israel. Add to it the 250-odd hostages. And then on Israel, on Palestinian side, on Gaza side, the Gaza numbers, which are disputed, exaggerated, but for want of another statistic, stand at upwards of 60,000 people. This is the final assault, and this is what it will take to probably put an end to it. Now, viewers, let's tell you about what is it that the victory could entail. What is it that we are really looking at when you talk about this conflict reaching its next phase? Let's put out this report that tells you the story in greater detail.
Operation Gideon's Chariots 1 began on May 16th with the IDF mobilizing over 50,000 troops to penetrate Gaza. The Stated goals were to seize control of key urban areas, dislodge Hamas militants, relocate civilians southwards, and secure the release of up to 50 hostages. Over the 78-day offensive, the IDF managed to gain control of approximately 75% of Gaza's territory, particularly in the northern and the central zones. However, Gaza City itself remains fiercely contested, with thousands of Hamas fighters entrenched within. Despite heavy fighting, the relocation of civilians southwards did not materialize as planned, with over 1 million Palestinians still residing in northern Gaza. The military also faced significant challenges securing the humanitarian aid corridors, disrupting the flow of food and medical supplies. Casualty figures during the operation included 48 IDF soldiers killed, while Palestinian civilian casualties continue to mount amid ongoing conflict. Most critically, the operation did not secure the release of any remaining hostages. Indirect negotiations for hostage release have stalled, with Israeli officials maintaining a firm stance that all hostages must be freed before any ceasefire. With these mixed outcomes, Operation Gideon's Chariots 1 has quietly drawn to a close. Its objectives only partially met as Israel now plans the next phase.
Now, viewers, this isn't the first time Israel has marched towards Gaza City with promises of total victory. 90 days ago, this same operation was launched with the same bold objective, which is to defeat Hamas, free the hostages, and break Gaza's military grip. Instead, it ended in stalemate, strategic drift, and which is why the first offensive fell short. And what lessons that have been actually ignored is what we put out for you to better understand how in this war, now this has been a war that's been going on almost 2 years now. It will be on 7th of October, it's going to complete 2 years. There have been major inflection point, and this inflection point is what we were just telling you about. Gideon's Chariot, the first phase which resulted in a stalemate, and the second phase that is going to start now. We put out those details for you. Let's now get in General KJS Dhillon, who joins us on the broadcast for more on this. So thanks much for speaking to me on Fault Lines. Let me start with you in terms of the lessons, the learnings. The last time IDF learned to ensure that now that the same operation is being launched again, will it actually lead to fulfillment of their military objectives?
Good afternoon, ma'am, and good afternoon to your viewers. A lot of details have been shared in your initial stories. I would like to just give out a little perspective of the history in context of today's Operation Gideon Chariot 2. See, we know this problem is as old as 1948. In 1956-57, when the Suez Canal episode happened, that was also the time when Israel had occupied this area. Again, in 1967, after the Six-Day War, Israel again occupied this area. And somewhere in between, General Ariel Sharon devised a plan of something called 5 fingers. That means this strip, Gaza Strip, incidentally, is 41 kilometers north-south and 6 to 12 kilometers in depth at varying places, with Mediterranean Sea onto the west, Israel onto the north and east, and Egypt onto south. So it's a 40-kilometer long strip, which is all along the Mediterranean Sea. So Ariel Sharon came up with a concept of 5 fingers. That means divide this area with 5 militarized zones in between and break the contiguity of the strip. That also happened then in 2005. Israel unilaterally withdrew from this area, and 2006, which you referred to, Hamas took over this area. So these things have been happening in the past, and the circle is taking its full circle and coming back to the same thing. Now, coming to the operation which is happening now. As of now, the Gideon Chariot 2 aims to vacate or take over the Gaza City per se, which is somewhere in the northern part of Gaza Strip. And they have told the civilians to move southwards, that is towards the border with the Hamas or Egypt, and in the Rafah area and all that. Now, we have to understand this is not a military battle per se, it's an ideological battle. You can defeat Hamas militarily today in the Gaza City, but the ideological battle and the ideological acclimatization of the population will bring in more fighters.
What you're saying is correct, sir. In terms of the longevity of this conflict vis-a-vis the immediate short-term military goals that Israel has. But the biggest goal that they have is to bring back the hostages, and for that, IDF has all along maintained we've got to defeat Hamas completely. And
Absolutely.
Do you think that the operation being launched second time round will be able to achieve that for Israel?
I mean, this also, the offer made by Hamas of exchanging 10 hostages with a 60-day ceasefire to be declared by Israel has been negated by Israel. Israel wants all the 50 hostages back, and then only they say we'll talk about ceasefire. Now, if that offer has been set aside, the military campaign in Gaza City per se has been launched, and this military fighting in the built-up areas is a very, very strenuous fighting. In a built-up area where Hamas has been living in those areas for a number of years, IDF, that is Israeli Defense Forces, will encounter mines, they will encounter booby traps, they will encounter snipers sitting at vantage points and taking on one by one. So it's going to be a long-drawn battle. It's not going to be an easy fighting in built-up area of whatever is left of Gaza City. It is not easy. And secondly, will the civilians withdraw 100%? Because Hamas has been always using civilian as a human shield.
That's the real challenge, yeah.
And that is a tactic. And third point is the humanitarian aids, which has to be brought in because people don't want the aged, the ladies, the children to die in this conflict.
All right.
So there are varying aspects of this conflict. Military is only one aspect.
Absolutely. Military is only one aspect to it. There are humanitarian concerns.
Yeah.
Then we spoke about the ideological aspects, which is the origins of why this continues and why it's unlikely to potentially die anytime soon. But I have to leave it there. General Dino, thanks so much for speaking to me on fault lines, on a military battle that has many nuances and many aspects to it. And viewers, that's really what we are picking up as far as when you take off your blinkers, this is what you understand. That as far as Benjamin Netanyahu is concerned, he's made it clear he sees himself not just as a wartime leader, but as the executor of a historic and spiritual mission to secure the promised land. His connection to the concept of Greater Israel, an idea that many say is rooted in biblical boundaries and modern geopolitics. It erases and in fact it puts this war in existential terms. That's what makes this particular conflict, this particular push by IDF more than just a follow-up operation. It's a pivot point because behind every military plan lies a political endgame, and Netanyahu's may not just stop at Gaza. Critics argue that this vision risks perpetual conflict, stretching Israel's military into potentially years-long engagements, straining its global alliances, even as the humanitarian crisis continues in Gaza City, Gaza area. There's a very large civilian population crammed into a very small area, which is likely to worsen given that this conflict is unlikely to reach to an immediate military solution, because Gideon's push the second time round, that when it starts, it is not going to achieve its military objective overnight. And that is why this needs to be seen in that context. All right, viewers, on that note, a quick break. We come back on the other side and tell you all about Donetsk being the choke point in the grinding Russia-Ukraine war, and of course, Kiev's 1,000-kilo missile. Stay tuned for that on the other side of this break on Fault Lines.
Sometimes it's the little things that remind us of them. Stay close, even when you're far apart. Send money worldwide with Remitly.
Oh, wasn't he lovely? That young man at Avanti Travel Insurance.
Yeah, very.
He was so reassuring. They covered all our medical conditions, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Your diabetes, my dodgy hip.
And the rest.
Even at your age, love. Oh. Love?
Oh, great.
Oh, love.
Avanti Travel Insurance cover most pre-existing health conditions for all ages. That's travel reassurance. Save 20% now. Call or go online.
I knew I should have got the flamingo.
With II's low flat pension fees, you could retire with more.
Really?
Open an interactive investor personal pension today.
Don't let gaps in your travel insurance spoil your holiday. Go without the doubt. Insure and go. Call 0800 198 0198.
This is an urgent appeal from Hope and Homes for Children. Right now, an estimated 5.4 million children around the world are suffering, separated from their families by being placed in orphanages. But the vast majority of them are not orphans at all. Orphanages can expose children to abuse and trafficking. The physical and psychological trauma can last a lifetime. Tabitha was separated from her family for 6 years. Imagine being locked away, separated from the people you love, frightened, alone. You have the power to help get children like Tabitha back to family. Call 0800 472 5218, text Family 38008, or search online for Hope and Homes for Children to give £2 a month. Hope and Homes for Children has been working to stop the institutionalization of children worldwide for over 30 years. Your support can help provide emergency care, trace families, and stop children being placed in loveless orphanages. Please, bring joy to children's lives. Donate today. Thank you.
Mum created something that was pretty phenomenal. Now we can share these amazing creations with the world.
We are Yorkchans Chilioid.
And we're powered by Shopify.
Viewers, welcome back to Fault Lines. We now shift our focus eastwards, where in Ukraine's fight for survival, one region stands at the heart of both history and strategy, and that is Donetsk. It has deep coal mines, hardened fortress lines. In fact, it's the prize that the Russian President Vladimir Putin wants in exchange for peace. But giving it up could actually cost Ukraine everything, from territory to tactical advantage to, many say, national identity and the future of Europe's borders. As Trump floats the idea of a territorial swap, we break down exactly why Donetsk is not just another battleground. It is actually the battleground in this conflict. Let's quickly now tell you why is it that this is the most crucial choke point. Let's put some of those aspects out for you to understand why Donetsk matters. It's the industrial heartland that's powering the nations, both the nations' economies. Now, this is the southern eastern belt of Ukraine, which is where you have those old coal mines. You have several other key aspects in terms of industrial economy that is so important. Let's tell you in terms of Moscow's control links Russia to the Crimean corridor, which is extremely important because of the connectivity, the linkages it opens up. And Crimea, even Donald Trump said, is off the negotiating table, which is why Putin wants that even Donetsk should be off as well. Fortress belt that defend Ukraine's eastern front, which is why this is so important for Ukraine, because they understand that this is essentially the bulwark that will keep the country together. In terms of what next, it's the key launch site for Russian drones. It's also a very large area most of it under Russian control. Not all of it, about 77 to 78% is under Russian control, which tells you that still there is about a fifth of that area which is under Ukrainian control. And this is the key launch site for Russian drones. Another important reason why this is at the heart of the entire conflict. And lastly, losing Donetsk pulls war 82 kilometers west, which means, as I said, it's the bulwark against Russia for Ukraine, and losing that entire region could actually mean putting the rest of Ukraine very close to Russian aggression in the future, which is why this region is so very important. Now, viewers, while diplomacy debates Donetsk, Russia is digging in. Across Ukraine's occupied east, Moscow is turning civilian spaces into forward operating military drones, launch pads for future, for war, built deep inside stolen territory, or occupied territory, as some would say. This report has all the details for you.
Donetsk, once a coal-rich symbol of industrial might, is now ground zero in Russia's military makeover of occupied Ukraine. What was once a Ukrainian international airport, rebuilt for Euro 2012, is today a launch pad for Russia's deadliest drones. In Donetsk, white hangars now dot the destroyed runway, repurposed to launch Shahid kamikaze drones. These structures not only signal strategy, they also signal permanence. Across the occupied Donbas, the transformation is relentless. Factories now house tanks, schools shelter armored convoys, and Black Sea resorts have been converted into soldier barracks. If analysts are to be believed, Moscow's forward bases aren't just aimed at Ukraine, they pose threats to NATO borders too. But while Russia entrenches itself militarily, it's also floating a dangerous diplomatic move. Putin is reportedly demanding the full Donbas, including Donetsk, in exchange for peace. Such a move would hand the Kremlin the high ground, both militarily and morally, in a war that's anything but over. And as the world watches, Donetsk remains the ever-narrowing choke point where peace, war, egos, and power, they all collide.
Viewers, if you take off your blinkers, you realize that Donetsk has become a frontline symbol, a region scarred by war, now fortified by Russia into a launch pad for drones, tanks, and diplomacy, many say by force. Putin now wants the entire Donbas region, and that includes Donetsk as well, in exchange for peace. But for Ukraine, giving it up would mean more than just lost ground. It would shatter national identity, redraw European borders under pressure. Strategically, Donetsk is vital. It connects Russia to Crimea, pushes the war 82 kilometers west, and gives Moscow permanent military reach. Politically, it sets a dangerous precedent that lands seized with force can be bargained for at the negotiating table. As Donald Trump floats the idea of a territorial swap, the question isn't just what Ukraine can afford to lose, but what the world can afford to normalize. Donetsk isn't just a battlefield, it's the test case for whether 21st century borders are still defined by law, or are they now increasingly being defined by firepower. Viewers, Ukraine has made a new cruise missile, and that is capable of carrying a 1,000-kilo warhead with a range of 1,800 miles. Yes, this war isn't over, because we are now going to talk about the Ukrainian firepower. Officials in Ukraine have said that serial production of the missile that's dubbed the Flamingo have begun. This special report tells you what you need to know as far as this mega missile is concerned and how big a dent this will actually mean for the Russian military momentum on battlefield.
A missile carrying over 1,000-kilo warhead zooms off into the sky. trading invincibility for sheer volume, and beginning a new chapter in Ukraine's defense against Russia. Ukraine has begun serial production of the Flamingo, a groundbreaking long-range cruise missile capable of carrying a 1,000-kilogram warhead up to 3,000 kilometers into Russian territory. According to release specifications, the Flamingo is a massive 6-ton subsonic cruise missile sporting a fixed 6-meter wingspan, reaching speeds up to 950 kilometers per hour and staying in flight for over 4 hours. But what really sets it apart is the payload, a 1,000-kilogram warhead, nearly twice the destructive power of the 450-kilo Tomahawk missile. This capability positions Ukraine to strike deep into Russia, potentially reaching military-industrial hubs in the Urals and beyond. Despite the strategic advantage, the missile's size brings inherent trade-offs. Its giant wingspan and launch weight simplify manufacturing, but demand longer pre-launch prep and make it less stealthy against radar. Nonetheless, Ukrainian developers are betting that deep forward corridors into Russian airspace can be exploited before high-end defenses can react. The emergence of the Flamingo missile marks a bold leap in Ukraine's defense technology, potentially redrawing the strategic landscape. With Vishal Vivek, Bureau Report, NDTV World.
Well, viewers, with that, we wrap things up on this edition of Fault Lines. We come back next week with yet another conflict, yet another military battle with its nuances and its impact for you to decode the world's fault lines better. Thank you so much for watching this edition.
Don't miss Sharp's half-price summer sale. Get Sharp's bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from living spaces to home offices and bedrooms. Many ranges are now half price, including our best-selling shaker range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means we won't be beaten on space. Plus, you get our 15-year guarantee for total peace of mind. Don't miss Sharp's half-price summer sale. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
For such gentle souls, working donkeys in the Middle East lead terribly hard lives. For such trusting animals, donkeys are too often abused and exploited. These sensitive, loyal animals often suffer the cruelest pain. And now, conflicts in the Middle East have seen donkeys terribly injured, malnourished, and in desperate need of care. The cost of medications has soared, but there is something you can do. Please call Safe Haven for Donkeys on 0800 144 5802 or go online and give a life-saving gift of just £2 a month. Safe Haven for Donkeys is dedicated to transforming lives in Gaza, the West Bank, Israel, and Egypt. Your gift means our mobile vet clinics can provide emergency treatment for injured donkeys. We heal wounds and ensure donkeys aren't suffering. We also work with local communities, helping them to look after and cherish their donkeys. You'll help us make sure there's always a place at our sanctuaries for abandoned or injured donkeys who have nowhere else to turn. Please call 0800 144 5802, text SAFE4 to 84902, go online or scan the QR code and give just £2 a month. Help save a donkey's life today.
Some people think life slows down in your 50s, but I'm just getting started. And I don't want my lot to have to worry about funeral costs. Let them spend their money on nicer things. So I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. They're the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period. Unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years, with Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one. And you're covered for the whole of your life. Unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Go online or talk to their friendly UK team in just one phone call. Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period and no annoying trips to the doctors either.
Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Now I'm with Cover Today, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To get a free life insurance quote, call our friendly UK team on 0800 470 4474 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Party. Initially, this was something that she had, in fact, gone on to allege in a video message that had gone completely viral. This was an online message that went completely viral without naming the party or the MLA. But now the man has been named, and the man in question has resigned. Ashish, my colleague, joining us. Ashish, take us through, the allegations that are being made by Rini George in the past. She did not name him, then finally she did. The BJP, of course, attacking the Congress for the same, and now action has been taken. In fact, the man has resigned.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Let me take you through the whole sequence of events. First, Rini, the actress, Malayalam actress, she gives an interview to a Malayalam web portal. There, she alleges harassment by a top politician. When this matter further escalates, BJP jumps into the picture and